What up guys, today I will be ranking every single ranged DPS spec in the game according to how fun it is for me to play with. Keep in mind that fun is relative and that what is fun for me might not be as entertaining to you. With that in mind, hope you enjoy. First up, we have the Mage. This is by far the class with the most crowd control abilities in the game. No other class comes even close to what a Mage can do, the one true king in this regard for sure. Blink is an amazing ability on a 15-second cooldown. It gives you both mobility and gets you out of stuns. Such a short cooldown and the stun removal ability is obviously overpowered. Just think about it, a rogue's kidney shot is on a 20-second cooldown. And that is also an overpowered ability due to how often you can use it. Now let's go back to the blink 15 seconds cooldown. This means that any mage can remove every single kidney shot they get and still have 5 seconds to spare. So an ability that overpowers an already overpowered skill, that is over 9000 power right there. Mage also is the DPS class with the most defensive cooldowns. Dragonflight made mages pure tanks when played properly, which, to be fair, is no easy task. Mage is currently, in my opinion, the highest skill cap class in the game. I am not saying that it is not easy to do well with, because it is. I am saying that a master mage is something to behold, and there are very few of them out there. The amount of extra spells Dragonflight brought mage is insane. Even the best mages in the world are sometimes avoiding using the technically best talent tree choices, because even they cannot get used to these many abilities quite yet. Fayr is the most fun ranged in the game, with by far the most engaging and unpredictable rotation there is. There ain't nothing more fun than having to make a decision every second, adapting accordingly to the hot streak RNG, and even playing 2 steps ahead to make the best use out of it. Also, since your magic school is Fayr, if you get interrupted, you will still be able to polymorph, ice block, blink, and so on. Definitely a spec everyone should try. It is so different from anything else in the game. I am sure that many of you already have or soon will fall in love with it. Then we have Frost, the spec that blows the crowd control scale due to the extra slow capabilities in comparison to the other two mage specs. I adore the Glacial Spike mage playstyle. The feeling of working towards a big, impactful and extremely rewarding ability is what every class should be about in my opinion, but for now, Frost does it better than anyone else. In Dragonflight, we generate so many Fingers of Frost that you will be able to Glacial Spike as often as you please. The problem is how well do you position yourself and set up crowd control to actually be able to do so. That is why the vast majority of Glacial Spike mages struggle to succeed. You have to be fluid with your mage capabilities to pull it off at a high level, but when you get there, you will have a blast playing it, and very few will be able to oppose you. Because of this, most Frost mages you will see use the easy mode build, which revolves around boosting and spamming Ice Lance all game long. It is an S+ tier build for sure, being able to do immense damage without having to cast that often, but man, that is such a boring playstyle. Being a Frost Magic School spec, if you get interrupted, you will not be able to ice block, so be very careful with hard casting Frost abilities when vulnerable. And then we have Arcane, the Trickster spec. You have many tools to counterplay the enemy team, mass invisibility opens so many doors, you can use it to set up the perfect crowd control chain along with your team, or to help your healer reposition, maybe to peel yourself and your teammates. The possibilities are endless. This is effectively a 5-second vanish for your entire team, although the rotation is a bit boring and the spell effects are way too simple, and as such it ranks a bit lower than the other two mage specs. Being an arcane magic school specialization, if you get interrupted, you won't be able to blink or polymorph. Keep an eye out for rogues as they will make use of this and kidney shot you right after an interrupt so that you won't be able to get out of it. Next we have the Elemental Shaman, a very powerful and fun caster spec with amazing spell effects that do make all the difference fun-wise. The first factor that ruins fun for any caster spec is getting interrupted. Well, that is where Elemental Shaman comes in. Having a kit that uses multiple magic schools will allow you to adapt your rotation when the interrupt does come through. Shamans are usually one of the prime kill targets due to their lack of defensive uptime and mobility. However, a good Elemental Shaman can kite very efficiently, and the best part is that you can do almost all your damage while doing so. That is not easy to pull off right off the bat, but with some practice, you can be pretty annoying to many melee comps. The best feature Elemental has at the moment are their fast, unpredictable and abundant damage bursts. Elemental can easily take half of someone's HP bar instantly, which in solo queue leaves healers completely desperate. A very fun spec with a lot of burst damage potential, a very fun and rewarding rotation, and pretty good crowd control capabilities. Now to the Hunters. This is the only physical damage based ranged class in the game, unless of course you count Demonology Warlock's pet damage. Both ranged Hunter specs are very easy to play, incredibly straightforward, not much of a skill cap either due to how simple the kit is. But hey, they are quite fun, and that is what matters. I recommend Beastmaster to every new player who wishes to play ranged, since having the pet do most of the damage takes the pressure off you, and allows you to just focus on your positioning while you keep doing your 3-button rotation. Also, even if you get stunned, your pet keeps up DPSing, so you never do lose that much uptime. The best new player friendly spec that is for sure, and still pretty fun and strong. If you prefer to do the damage yourself, fear not, as marksmanship might be just right for you. Just like Beastmaster, a very mobile ranged spec that instead focuses on very high burst damage from afar. Both have access to Freezing Trap, an amazing CC ability that does take some getting used to in order to land every time. And the main reason Hunter is so amazing is what I started the description with, the fact that his damage is physical. That means that their rotation does not use any magic school, and thus they cannot be interrupted. If you wish to play ranged but hate having to fake cast or hate getting interrupted, definitely give Hunter a try if you haven't yet. Next we have the Warlock. Warlock is a very tanky caster that shines in pressuring the entire enemy team with tremendously high amounts of damage and very good crowd control. Destruction is a very simple spec, very easy to do well with in lower skill ratings, and also has a pretty low skill cap. This spec features very high burst and consistent damage for as long as he has line of sight to his target, which when playing against experienced players will be tricky since they will LOS you all game long. Destruction, however, has one of, if not the most amazingly designed spell effect in the game. Of course, I am talking about the one and only Chaos Bolt. It looks so good that when they updated it a few years ago, I seriously considered maining it just for that amazing spammable ability. Unfortunately, every Warlock spec is incredibly boring in most matches, especially Affliction. That spec is so boring that I consider playing it an actual job. There is absolutely no way anyone has fun playing it. Your gameplay is to fully dot a target, do the same on the second and then on the third one, use a couple Malefic Raptures if you can, before the alarm rings again, and it's time to start over at the first target all over again. If you are new to the game, don't do this to yourself. This is a spec for people who consider fun the 2 seconds they spend looking at the victory pop-up after 15 minutes of pure boredom. Demonology has a very fun and engaging rotation. However, when it comes to PvP, playing it, you will be focusing too much on making sure you are min-maxing everything. And I gotta say, there is nothing worse than building up your imp count in order to summon a powerful demonic tyrant, to then getting CC'd and watch 6 or 9 imps expire, and having to start everything all over again. Still better than Affliction though, but I don't recommend Warlock to anyone currently, as it is the least fun class in the game. However, do not believe the comments say that Warlocks have no mobility, as that could not be further away from the truth. A good Warlock on the right map will be surprisingly hard to catch, especially if his teammate helps him kite, and it ain't that hard to do so. You just jump down from high terrain, let both melees jump after you, then teleport back up, and immediately start slowing and CCing them on the way up. By the time they catch up to you, you get away to the other side of the map and do the same. When they finally get there, you will have your first teleport ready to use all over again. And if you use your defensives right, coordinating their cooldown usage with your mobility needs, you will be able to easily stand your ground with defensives and use your mobile options to buy some time until either you or your healer get them back. Next we have the Shadow Priest, pretty much a slightly better version of Warlock that, instead of having a pet, focuses on strong team utility, which it does shine on. Shadow has immense and varied crowd control capabilities, very high pressure due to ridiculously high damage output, and pretty nice visual spell effects. Shadow Priest has access to Mass Dispel, which is one of the most powerful PvP spells in the game, removing Paladin bubbles, Mage ice blocks, and many other beneficial enemy effects. A very low mobility class, however, that does get compensated for that 3 times over by how stupidly tanky they are. An interesting spec to try, but way too boring to main. Then we have the Balanced Druid. Visually a very appealing spec indeed, with access to 2 different spell schools, which, like the Elemental Shaman, allows him to adapt his playstyle in case an interrupt does come through. Being a druid, you have access to all druid forms, which you will not use as much in Dragonflight. However, when the healer is struggling, you can always jump into bear form for a bit until things are a bit more under control. And of course, use your classic cat form stealth to stun Cyclone combo. This is one of the best opener cross crowd control chains there is. Cyclone is one of the best crowd control abilities in the game, allowing you to use it both defensively and offensively. You can use it as a regular crowd control on the healer or the DPS who just used his main offensive cooldown. But remember that you can also use it on a low HP target in order to give your team time to set up proper crowd control on the healer, to then finish off that target when ready, given that he will not only be immune to damage, but also to ally healing. Druid is its own category, form shifting is not for everyone, so just give it a try, and if it is for you, then you will know it soon enough. Lastly, we have the one and only Destruction Evoker. The new Dragonflight class that, even though it's ranged, does not have as much reach as the other ranged classes, which will be a bit of a disadvantage in PvP, placing you much closer to the melee class's interrupt area. However, do not get discouraged, as Evoker has many powerful tools that more than make up for his lack of range. You are very mobile, able to cast while zooming around with hover, which will be quite often, and your defensives are insane. You are not at the mage level of defensives, but let's just say that you can't really complain. Nullifying Shroud is the most broken PvP talent that has ever existed, preventing the next 3 full crowd control spells that come your way for the next 30 seconds. And such a powerful spell only has 1.5 minute cooldown. I truly don't know what Blizzard was thinking when they designed this ability, but it is actually game breaking. On Devastation, however, it does not have nearly as much of an impact as on Preservation, the healing spec, but just imagine a healer that is immune to 3 full loss of control effects for 30 seconds, and refresh this effect every minute and a half. Yeah, it is pretty wild. But this is a DPS tier list, so let me jump back into the topic. Devastation Evoker has a very simple kit, probably the class with the least buttons to press overall. It is quite easy to play, has an average skill cap, very strong crowd control potential. It is actually able to pull off one of the longest crowd control chains in the game, only surpassed by the obvious Mage and Rogue classes. Very powerful defensives that, if used in the right moments, will make you very very hard to kill. A very bursty playstyle which is always fun and very pleasing visual spell effects. Destruction Evoker is a fun, powerful spec. Definitely look into it if you feel the call to become a dragon. Thanks for watching, subscribe if you haven't yet, and as always, I will see you in the arena.